Rebellions are built on hope.
Yeah, and it's another Star Wars Saturday, and welcome to another episode of Radio Rebellion, a Star Wars podcast. I'm your host, Alberto Calderon, and I am joined finally, she's back, but on an actual show, our friend Hannah Waddell. Hannah, how are you doing today?
Alberto, I am doing so good. We were talking off air how excited I was for this. So I've had a week long of classes. This is going to be the highlight of my week. So
there we go. I like hearing that.
Excited.
It's Saturday. We're chatting that it's a little bit cold out there. We're starting to get a little bit too used to the warmth. And then Mother Nature said, not yet. It's not spring yet.
Exactly. Not today, Satan. Not today.
Yeah. And even though it is the weekend, unfortunately, it's also daylight savings or whatever tomorrow. So we are missing an hour. But hopefully today, this hour right now, will make up for that hour you're losing. Get all your coffee, everything that you can. But doesn't matter. We're here. Not talk Star Wars. But first, Hannah, like I said, you were here probably about 2 months ago or something for our first trivia challenge, the prequel trivia. Had a lot of fun there. You did great. Unfortunately, came out a little bit short. But a lot of fun, and we've always been trying to get you back. Life gets in the way. But I saw, it's Midnight Horizon, High Republic. I saw that you tweeted something out a while back. I don't remember what it was. I said, I think I found my guest. And then, so you're here. So very excited to talk to you about that. Of course, the Kenobi trailer dropped a few days ago. So more goodness. But how you been doing since last we saw you?
I've been doing good. It's like you said, like a lot of life gets in the way. I've got a weird schedule, but oh my gosh, I'm just thrilled. Whatever I tweeted about, I'm sure it was something in all caps, yelling randomly, probably a few cuss words thrown in because that just seems to be my MO. But I'm so flattered you're like, that's who I want to talk to about this book.
Yeah, that's out there cursing. But no worries. But same as we said last week, before we start, just want to highlight real quick, the Amidala Initiative is still out there trying to raise funds for the Texas over there with everything that's going on. But yeah, Equality Texas, our friend Ben McDonough has been kind of pushing this up front. There's like 77 other podcasts kind of helping out. So as always, if you can, go to the GoFundMe page. The link is down at the bottom of this, at the episode description. You can donate. Just go and inform yourself to know what's going on. Pass the words, retweet, whatever you can. It's better than nothing. So yeah, we're there. They're almost halfway to the goal of $25,000. They're only been up for about 10 days, 11 days, and they already got over $10,000. So very cool for that. All right. And as always, if you're watching this live, thank you. Make sure that you like this video. If you're watching this later on the replay, thank you also. Comment. I want to hear if you're in the chat, let us know your comments on the Kenobi trailer. I'm sure everyone has comments. The design of the characters, people are flipping out. And Midnight Horizon, let us know in the chat, in the comments. Like the video, subscribe. If you're listening to the audio podcast later on, same thing. Follow it, give us a rating if you want. If not, that's fine. Just listen to it. And I think that's enough. So let me see who's in the chat. Let's say hi to our friend. Of course, he's here. Roberto Venegas. How you doing, Roberto? Saying hi to both of us. Roberto, I know. We'll start with Kenobi because Roberto hasn't read Midnight Horizon. He doesn't want to get spoiled. So we'll do Kenobi first, and then you can come back after you finish Midnight Horizon. We'll just say it's a great book.
Oh,
it's so great. Yeah.
So good.
From Fallen Star to Midnight Horizon, that's what we needed. At least me, that's what I needed.
Yeah, really badly.
Yes. And our friend, of course, is here, Dale. How you doing, Dale? All right. So if you guys are ready, I'm ready. Let's talk Star Wars and Star Wars news. Star Wars news. One news to talk about this week, but it's the biggest news. We've been waiting for this for I don't know how long, and it is the Kenobi trailer. Look at that freaking young Luke Skywalker. I tear up every time I see him. We got Inquisitors, new characters. Uncle Owen is there. There's so much. A new planet, Daiju or something like that. And the Grand Inquisitor, we'll talk about him, but Grand Inquisitor live action. Forget how he looks for a second.
Just
Flipping out.
I know, I'm so excited right now.
All right. So before we start, Hannah, Kenobi trailer. This been the talk in Star Wars circles since at least February, which is when the Super Bowl came around, and before then, but Super Bowl weekend was the big one.
Hmm.
A lot of people, including myself, kind of thought that it was going to be dropping. But as it got closer, Lucasfilm didn't say anything. They usually announce, if it's going to be on the Super Bowl, they usually announce it. And this is going to be one of the first ones. And then it didn't drop. And I've been extremely critical of Lucasfilm marketing strategy.
Hmm.
Whatever they're doing for them, I guess they think it's working because they're not veering from it. I think they should do something different, but at least as of this moment, I don't work with them yet, so I can't change them. But were you a little bit bummed that we've waited this long, or were you okay? This is kind of par for the course of what they do.
That's such a tough question because I think I've been pretty critical as well of their marketing strategy, most recently like with the Kenobi trailer and the Super Bowl, but also in recent news when they're talking about, oh, like now the Bad Batch isn't anymore like spring 2022. It's just like coming soon. Well, that's really helpful and great. Like what, like I don't need like an exact date, but like, can you give me something? But yeah, no, I think they have a tendency to just kind of do their own thing. And I respect that. Like as a huge company like that, I can't speak into it. But yeah, I think it both surprises me and doesn't at the same time, the way that things are released for Lucasfilm. They're just like, oh, of course they freaking dropped the Kenobi trailer at like 10:30 on a Wednesday, random ass nothing Wednesday. And you're just like, yeah, that sounds about right. But like, at least we had like maybe a couple of hours warning when they unlocked their when they unlocked their Twitter and they're like, hello there. And I'm like, okay, we know it's coming. Like, thank you for the at least advance here.
Yeah. So and we'll
that
get
doesn't normally happen.
Hi to your dog. He's always here. He was giving you high five during the trivia. So
I can't promise he won't do it again, but he decided to show up again.
We'll take it. The more people, the better. Just give him a YouTube account so he can hit that like button every time he comes in.
He doesn't have opposable thumbs though. That'd be like cheating.
Yeah, we'll try just we'll be this troll is messing with us. But yeah, the problem I have with the marketing strategy, just a little bit. We won't get too much into it. And I know we're on Twitter most of the time, right? That's how we know everything that's going on. And a lot of people that are on Star Wars Twitter said, why are you complaining? Because you're going to watch it anyways, right? But like you just said, the trailer dropped on a random Wednesday. The only way we knew about it was because we were living on Twitter and people were saying, it's the Disney Investors Call. Regular fans and regular people don't know anything about Investors Call, don't know about Kenobi's Twitter account that, of course, the first tweet was going to be hello there. If not, listen, they got a problem. But the trailers and all the marketing is for the other guys. Like I say, it's the people outside my wall here, my wife, my kids, my brothers, which are huge Star Wars fans, but they don't live on Twitter or on social media to know everything that's coming. It's for them to get them excited. When the EW cover dropped and then all the images, my wife texted them to me about an hour after they dropped because I don't know where she saw it. But again, that's who marketing should be kind of geared towards. Not for us, because of course you're going to watch it. Of course, I'm going to complain because the Inquisitor's head is a little bit round. I'm going to watch it anyway. But it's for the other people to get them excited because they don't know. Like the Bad Batch you just said, it was supposed to be spring and now it's coming soon in 2027 or something.
Yeah. Oh God, don't say that.
No, it won't. I know you're a huge fan. You're always, another thing, you're always tweeting, give me Bad Batch. I missed it so much. I was so with the Bad Batch, so I'm like, okay, give me something else for now. But I'll be excited when it comes because that was one of the things I watched with my daughter. Rebels was the first one, then Bad Batch came along, and when I started saying, okay, whatever, I'm not liking it too much, but I'm spending 30 minutes watching Star Wars with my daughter, okay, it's fine. I don't need to analyze every second. Anyway, so let's talk first about, I'm going to say, I forgot, I got a new tattoo yesterday, a little probe droid, of course, it's got to be there. So you might see it walking around. It's not that I have a stain on my forearm. Anyway, I'm talking too much now. So the Kenobi Twitter account tweeted out hello there. We all freaked because we know it was Wednesday. A lot of us knew, it's the Disney Investor Call that usually doesn't say a lot.
Yeah,
But it
usually
started
it's
with,
like all numbers and stuff, and we're
yeah,
like, okay, whatever.
and it
But
started that way with people calling in, talking nonsense about
oh my God.
QAnon, and I don't know who. Roberto was there. He was tweeting, "What the hell is with people?" I saw someone say it's the Chinese propaganda or something. Okay, no, this isn't for me. But then EW dropped the cover, the Inquisitors there, a little note saying, "Yeah, I forgot the name of the who Moses Ingram is playing, her new character, the third sister. She has a
Mhm.
name." And she has a quote saying, "Yeah, me, Vader, and the Grand Inquisitor." And every, oh crap, the Grand Inquisitor just got confirmed. There's a new planet, Dayu or whatever. There's some
Mhm.
color, and then okay, when is it coming? So how excited did you get when you saw those images?
So I'm not gonna lie, I was at work that day, and so I had class all week from like 8 to 5, and I
Mhm.
wasn't able to check my phone only once at lunch, and that was when I saw like the EW cover, the photos, stuff like that, and I'm
Mhm.
like, I know it's coming, and I'm gonna miss the drop because I'm in class.
Yeah.
So it was one of those things where I was just sitting with so much anticipation and just kind of waiting for it. And then as soon as class finished up, I pulled up Twitter. First thing I saw was the trailer, and I'm like,
Oh, nice.
it's it, like, you know, the girl when she throws like the punch bowl, that gif,
Yeah.
that was me. I was just like, yes, we're here. Well, and something else, and I'm sure we'll get into this a little bit more, it was like, I wasn't expecting any like John Williams music in this. Like,
Oh,
we heard the creepy like Battle of the Heroes, and then it just like rips into Duel of the Fates, and I'm just like, I'm so hyped just for the music alone.
yeah. Oh man, the music. That's they. I love what we got with the Mandalorian, that
Oh
new
my God.
story with Star Wars. It took me a little bit to get into it, but now it fits in Star Wars.
Mhm.
Boba Fett, same thing. Took a little bit, but there's something different. Star Wars imagery, and you bring John Williams, and then it's Battle of the Heroes, which is my favorite. Duel of the
Mhm.
Fates, probably my second or third favorite.
That one's my favorite. I love Duel of the
It
Fates.
just gets you so hyped.
Oh yeah.
But that, oh, okay. So we'll get into. So my experience.
Mhm.
So I saw the cover, I saw the tweets, I saw the images from EW, because all of that, or a lot of it, came before 9. I had a work inspection I had to do from 9 to 10:30 or 11. I'm like, here we go. I'm gonna be gone for 2 hours. I'm gonna miss it. So this sucks. But they waited till around 1:30 or 2 in the afternoon, at least my time, when they finally released the trailer. I was watching the Investor Score. They were doing something about Marvel, some images. And like, maybe, who knows? And then it just dropped.
It's all of a sudden just wah, here you
Yeah,
go.
it's there. And let's just start with the beginning. So it starts with Kenobi just the war is done. We've lost, which is
Mhm.
just heartbreaking. And we'll
Mhm.
get into who the hell is he talking to. And then stay hidden. And then we see Kid Luke,
Oh my
young Luke, which I've said I didn't want Luke in this. I don't want him to be there. And soon as I saw him, eyes rolled out. I'm like, that's Luke Skywalker. He's piloting a pod racer, and freaking Obi-Wan is looking from the little cliff. And my heart sank. And then you get Duel of the Face, just bang! And then we have the Inquisitor and all that. But so Kid Luke, when you saw just the freaking kind of the large homestead, because you kind of focus a little bit on Uncle Owen. There's Beru kind of coming up the
Mhm.
steps, and there's a little kid down there. You're like, oh, who's that? And then he just freaking zooms. What were your first initial thoughts when you saw him?
I was honestly really surprised. I think I had seen something about rumors of a Luke
Mhm.
casting, but again, I put very little stock and I try to stay away from a lot of rumor casting just
Mhm.
because I'm just like,
Yeah.
I just kind of want it to be fun. I was actually really surprised at how pleased I was to see
Mhm.
little Luke, because I think because we know like Obi-Wan and Luke, like that is a very integral story for Star Wars. Like
Mhm.
that's how we start 4, 5, and 6. Like you have Obi-Wan and Luke together, whether Obi-Wan's dead or alive in any case. But he's part of Luke's story, and we know why that is thanks to 1, 2, and 3.
Mhm.
So I think it makes sense to have at least a glimpse of him, even if they never interact with each other. I think it's an important reminder for us, and then
Mhm.
as and Obi-Wan as a character, because we know he's going to leave Tatooine. He's probably going to go to that new planet, Dio, whatever it's called.
Yeah.
Dio, yeah. But he's going to leave for whatever reason. And the fact that I have a very strong suspicion Luke is involved for that reason makes sense to me.
Yeah.
I could be totally happy if we see him in one episode and never again. But
yeah, I don't know where I'm leaning because, like I said, first, keep them separated because I guess with A New Hope, we kind of, they've interacted in the past, not a lot, but they know who they are. But I didn't want them to show it like so early. But as soon as he came on screen, it just melted my heart. And just the way, it's a kid playing, but of course he's piloting a pod racer. And also, like you said, reminds us of that relationship, but also kind of tells you what this show is going to be about, at least for the people, like we mentioned before, that are not 100% on what's going on. Oh, he's there looking over Luke, as we knew from the end of Revenge of the Sith. Oh, I'll look over the boy or whatever it is. So yeah, I don't know if they'll interact. They maybe have one or two conversations, and then Owen kind of steps in and, okay, we're done with this. But if it's just from afar, that's fine also. All right, let me say hi to our friend. She's here, Lauren Romo from the Galactic Podcast. Hi, Lauren, for being here. And you said you have thoughts on that Stay Hidden line. Let's talk about that, just that first sentence, because he says the war is lost, or the fighting is done, we've lost, something like that. And my theorizing just went, is he talking to Ghost Qui-Gon and telling him we lost the war, we're in high or whatever?
Yeah.
Do you think that's where that might be going? Hopefully, are we gonna see Ghost Qui-Gon?
I may lose you might hear my screaming all the way from Florida if we see Ghost Qui-Gon Jinn / Liam Neeson, because I love that character so much. I've talked about how much I love Master and Apprentice from Claudia Gray just as a book, and just kind of expounding on that relationship. But oh my gosh, I don't even know what I do. I won't be surprised, but I will still scream very loudly.
Yeah.
But that was honestly my thought. After I watched it the first time, you have your hype time when you watch it the first time, and then the second time you start analyzing it.
Yeah.
and I'm like, I wonder who he's talking to. And I'm like, oh my God, it's Qui-Gon Jinn.
Yeah, so same thing. I watched it the first time. I probably didn't even pick on it. And he's talking to the audience or something. But then the next time, like, oh wait, who's he talking to? And it has to be Qui-Gon. Yoda's hiding. He's not, and Yoda know that they lost. Is he talking to Uncle Owen? Maybe. No, it has to be Qui-Gon. Give us Qui-Gon. But then the Stay Hidden part comes in, and it sounds a little bit different. Doesn't sound like part of the same conversation. I don't know if it's the recording that he does at the end of Revenge of the Sith, that he's telling the other Jedi to stay away, and they're just kind of, because we're gonna see Order 66 again and see a bunch of people die. Freaking, I'm not ready for it again.
It's an annual tradition at this point. We have to have it.
What time is it? Oh, we gotta make them cry. Click Order 66.
Yeah.
But so Lauren, what's your theory, Lauren? Who is he talking to when he says that Stay Hidden? Is it another Jedi out there that?
Because we know the Inquisitors are hunting Jedi. It's, what is it, 8 years after?
10 years.
10 years. Okay. 10 years. That's still fairly young-ish for post Order 66 / New Empire. So in theory, you could have Jedi wandering around. I mean, Cal Kestis lasted a really long time before the Inquisitors found him. So the ones that adapted and improvised hopefully survived longer.
So I haven't played Jedi Fallen Order. I watched the cinematics, but timelines kind of get jumbled. When during this time period does Fallen Order? Can it be maybe a Cal Kestis kind of Kenobi reaches out and somehow gets in touch with him, or there's no way?
I don't know about that timeline, to be honest with you.
Okay. Yeah, it's
if somebody much smarter than me who's figured this out, please let us know.
Yeah. All right. So Lauren is saying her thoughts on Stay Hidden is that he's talking to a Jedi or Padawan on the run. I don't think the Inquisitors are initially looking for Obi-Wan. Same thing. I don't think they know that Obi-Wan exists or where he is. They're on Tatooine. Maybe they're smart, because the big thing is, why did Obi-Wan stay on Tatooine? The first place that Anakin's gonna look. Maybe they do send the Inquisitors over there, but I don't think that they're chasing Obi-Wan. They might be chasing for someone else. Like you said, Cal Kestis is around. Inquisitors are still around by the time of Rebels, which is still years from this. So we might see other Jedi that just get introduced and then probably killed. But anyway, Inquisitors. We saw 4, not 1. I was thinking, okay, we'll get 1 Inquisitor. This new one, Raya, I think is her name, Moses Ingram, that she's playing, who looks great. I love the Inquisitor armor, and the way it translated to live action is great. Her whole look is great. A freaking
sharp.
red lightsaber. Yeah. So first thoughts when you saw her, and then we got the sixth brother, the other Inquisitor, the other female one, and of course the big guy, the Grand Inquisitor is there on 2 scenes, not just one. They show him twice. They're not hiding. I complain, why are you hiding stuff? Just tell us who's there. They gave us everyone except Vader.
We're here.
Yeah. What are your thoughts on the Inquisitors and how menacing are they gonna be?
I think they're going to be a huge threat. I like that we're seeing Moses Ingram's character probably the most. I think she's going to be probably the most interesting. I was also excited to kind of see a little bit of Imperial soldiers with Indra Varma and her character. Or is it Indira? Sorry, did I mispronounce that? Ooh, my bad. But we saw a little bit of her too, and I'm like, ooh, I wonder if like they're going to be like working together, because I'm sure like the Inquisitors and the Imperials don't really get along all that well. But no, I was so excited to see all the Inquisitors. I'm like, you're a sister, you're a brother. I don't know which number you are, but I'm just really excited to see you. Just because we know, like, we've gotten bits and pieces from comics and, again, Jedi Fallen Order from them and Rebels. But there's still so much that we don't really know about them. Like, does Darth Vader have tryouts for Inquisitors? Like, it's probably not a great tryout, but like, is there a tryout? Like, do you volunteer for this? Like, what motivates someone to become an Inquisitor? And I think there was something in that EW article that I think Moses was talking about her character, and it was like, she is all heart. And I'm like, is there somebody she's protecting? Is there somebody or someone that she's been looking for, like maybe a former Jedi friend or something? I'm just like, but what? Like, what would motivate you to hunt other Jedi? Yeah. Like, for whatever reason. Because they all used to be Jedi at some point.
The Inquisitor is one of those new additions to Star Wars that just everyone loves. I think the first time we saw them were in Rebels. And again, these fallen Jedi that are not Sith, they're kind of in between, probably trying to get to the Sith level. But then we got them a lot in the Charles Soule Darth Vader comic. We get a lot of them when it starts. And Vader is not too in love with the Inquisitor program anyway. He kills a few of them, chops limbs. So that's also going to be interesting. And he has a couple of run-ins with the Grand Inquisitor. And then, of course, Jedi Fallen Order. But seeing Moses Ingram character, just again, front and center, and I think from everything I read, she's going to be like kind of the main bad guy of the show. Of course, it can be Vader as the main one. He'll be there. But having these this Inquisitor just chasing down Jedi or whoever stands in her way, she's about to chop Owen also. But then we got the sixth brother, which we know from Rebels, which was great seeing that guy there. And then that new one, and of course the Grand Inquisitor. And like Lauren is saying, just spin those blades, baby. I love seeing that spinning lightsaber. Which if I had never seen that before, I'd be freaking out. I don't know who it was that posted on Twitter. For people that haven't seen Rebels, that scene had to be like us seeing the double-bladed lightsaber the first time, just flipping out. And it looked great. Do you think they're going to go helicopter style and fly out, hopefully?
I will laugh if it happens, just because I want to know. I want to watch this happen in live action, because in animation, you can kind of suspend your disbelief a little bit, going, okay, this is animation. You can do this. This is weird, but okay. If they fly with their helicopter lightsabers, I know I will be getting a lot of phone calls from my parents when they watch this show. Yeah. Because they're both, again, very casual Star Wars fans. So, like, I think I tweeted about this at one point. My dad watched the Book of Boba Fett and then watched The Mandalorian.
Oh, nice.
So the amount of questions I've been having to answer. And then they've never seen Rebels or anything like that or played Jedi Fallen Order. So they're like, who the heck are these people? And I'm like, let me tell you.
Take a seat.
And they fly. They fly now.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. That's where Finn got it. So I don't think, hopefully we see something. Flying away is weird. animation, it works. But if they're jumping down a cliff and they use it to kind of hold them in place a little bit, it kind of be a little bit better to see. Just keep them flying. It doesn't matter. Before we keep going, let's say, so Roberto is saying that he cannot not see Qui-Gon appearing on the show. Maybe a flashback would be nice. And Lauren is adding that timeline-wise for Fallen Order is about 6 or 7 years post-Order 66, so before the show. So it might be possible that Cal Kestis is around. Who knows if we'll see him. So let's jump real quick to the Grand Inquisitor. I'll say it. I saw him and I'm like, oh, he's weird. I know who he is because he's that, what is it, Pawans or something. He's all white, has the little red markings. So I know who he is. Looks a little bit weird. Were you kind of shocked with the look of the Grand Inquisitor? And at the end, does it really even matter?
Again, it runs against that argument people make of like trying to translate something from animation to live action and live action to animation. It's incredibly difficult. I know we've talked about like special effects, makeups. Like I remember when we were watching The Mandalorian, everybody's saying, including myself, talking about Ahsoka's Leku and stuff like that. I struggle with it because at the same time, it's like I've watched the animation, so I have in my mind an already preset idea of what this character should look like. And then to see it translated into live action, it's very jarring. But for somebody, again, like my parents who have never watched Rebels or something, they're just like, who the hell is that? Like, that's just scary as hell. And you're just like, okay, like for the casual general audience, I don't think it's going to matter. But again, for people like us who have watched these shows, who are online and are, for better or for worse, in the midst of these discussions, I think it's a little bit more nuanced and not as straightforward of an answer. I would have liked to have seen something a little bit closer to what they had in Rebels, but I'm not in charge. Like you said, I'm not in charge of anything at Lucasfilm, so I can't control anything.
Yeah, I've been like this. So when I saw it, I'm like, oh, I know who it is, but it doesn't look like him.
Oh, that's a human head that somebody painted. So weird.
The only reason, because when Cat Bane showed up in Boba Fett, we had a lot of people had this conversation, and I didn't care at that point because the only time we've seen Duros in live action in the background of A New Hope, sitting in the cantina, he's just sitting there. So that's different from a full-on character that has to have all the mouth working and the eyes and everything. So I was fine with Cat Bane because he looked freaking great.
Oh yeah.
The reason I don't have the same argument to say, oh, animation and live action look different, is because we saw this character or this species in Revenge of the Sith when they are, I always forget the name of the planet, with the Pawan over there. So it's like, oh, we've seen this before. Why is it different now? And again, that's a character that was there for 35 seconds. They're on the 10th level, thousands of battle droids. And that's it. So maybe it doesn't translate, again, to a full-on character just flipping a lightsaber, whatever. If they had made the lines in the face a little bit darker, and of course the yellow eyes that we love of the Grand Inquisitor, then I'll be fine with it. But the more I've seen the trailer, I'm getting used to it. So I'm like, it doesn't matter anymore. So I think once we start seeing the show, if he's there in 2 or 3 episodes, we'll get over it pretty quickly. I love the voice. Looks to be very menacing. And that's what matters. Okay, it doesn't look like he has a 2-foot melon head or whatever, but the character works, right? That's what we want. If the character works and Rupert Finn is a great actor, let's go. I know people are a little bit upset because I almost said Oscar Isaac.
I'm also upset Oscar Isaac isn't in this, but that's for a different reason.
But I'm sure there's reasons he's not playing it.
Yeah, Jason Isaacs.
Jason Isaacs.
I was going to ask you about that. Like, were you like disappointed when they heard that like it wasn't Jason Isaacs, stuff like that? Because I mean, he plays a good villain in live action. He plays a good villain in Rebels and in voiceover work. So
I wasn't too disappointed because the reason is we love, of course, to have those voice actors play the characters in live action, and he's a great actor. But I think what people forget sometimes to take into consideration is age. From Rebels to now, it's been like 10 years almost. Not 10, but like 6 to 8. People age. I don't know how old he is now. Maybe since his 60s or something. Maybe he's not up to doing all that stuff that's required for it.
Yeah,
And I don't know how much he looks like the Grand Inquisitor. Even we might even have the same conversation. It looks kind of weird.
Mm,
But maybe he didn't want to do it. We don't
exactly.
know. So I don't. Yes,
But yeah,
it'll
but
be.
yeah, I wasn't like overly disappointed because I think the actor who was going to play him, I think he did a great job. Like his voice, again, like you said, voice is super menacing. I think he can slip very easily into that role, and I think it'll be, again, like you said, we're going to probably watch a couple episodes with him in it and be like, it's going to be fine.
Yeah.
Because I watched the trailer a couple times and I was just like, okay, I can get behind this. I can get behind this Grand Inquisitor. We can do this. So
yeah, Roberto's kind of echoing what we're saying. It was a good idea that they show him early, so we get used to the way it looks. And by the time we get the episode in 2 months, I mean the series, we'll be okay with it. Our friend Nor Hall is here, ready to derail us probably in a few minutes.
Oh, I'm sure.
Yes, Lauren, Madripoor in Star Wars. So this is something Lauren and I talked a little bit on Twitter. The new planet, Dayu, whatever its name, looks like Madripoor from Falcon and Winter Soldier. We just need Kenobi dancing in the clubs over there.
Getting a little Zemo action.
Yeah,
Just,
I mean, it'll be a mess.
Jedi dancing. Oh my God. I bet you they don't even have dance lessons in the Jedi Temple. He'd be like, what the hell am I doing? That'd be cool. It's like, how do you do, fellow kids?
Yeah.
That would be that whole thing.
Yeah, they disbanded the dancing class after the High Republic. I'm sure the Padawans over there had some
They
fun.
had some square dancing lessons, kind of like we did in gym and junior high.
Yeah. Oh man, don't bring those. Don't, please. My daughter is going to middle school dances, and I'm like, oh my God, no. Oh.
Arms length.
Yeah, no. Who do I need to go intimidate? And she's like, Dad, don't you dare come here.
Don't you embarrass me, Dad.
Oh, she knows it's coming at some point. But it was during work, so I couldn't get there. And so Lauren is adding that she doesn't get the Grand Inquisitor discourse, which is fine. Same as Norhal. And again, some people go far off. Someone's already put in a petition, sign here to change this.
I was wondering how long that was going to take.
Yeah. And of course, Lauren is also adding that the voice is good and also confirmed that Fallen Order is 5 years before the Kenobi series. So who knows? We'll see. All right, let's see some more takes on the character, the actor playing Norhal is adding. I would have loved Jason Isaac too, but definitely interested to see Rupert take on the character. And Roberto saying that he's not super attached to voice actors, and the majority of the time he prefers new casting. Again, let other people give a voice to the characters. And yes, that petition was crazy. No, you are right.
But are we surprised again?
We're not.
There seems to just be a new one every time.
Yeah, we just gotta ignore them. But so excited to freaking see Inquisitors in live action.
Oh my
Grand Inquisitor looks menacing. The shot that he's on 2 shots, but it's the same. Just over the shoulder shot of someone looking at him, and he's like, where is he? And a lot of people think that's Temuera Morrison.
Oh my God.
Do you think people say, is that Rex? Is it Cody?
Oh my God.
He has something back here. If you, what people do, analyze and dim the lights or put extra lighting, and it's a clone with its chip removed. Are we seeing Temuera Morrison maybe as Cody or one of those clones that we already know?
If you can't tell by my shirt, I love clones.
Yes, there you go.
If I even see a clone,
it's back
again,
there.
you will hear my scream from Florida. Oh God, what was it? Did you happen to see that photo leak with Indira and somebody who had like a full on like bodysuit wrapped up in a parka?
Yes.
And people are like, oh my God, that's Tim. And I'm like, I don't want to get my hopes up, but I really want it to be him. Oh my God. Like if we see because this is just my personal headcanon. I have a headcanon that like the earliest Purge troopers were former clone troopers.
Mm-hmm.
So like if we see Cody like as a Purge trooper hunting Kenobi, or if he escapes for some reason and is trying to find Obi-Wan, oh my God, like I don't even know. The possibilities are endless. We're going to see Order 66. We're going to see clone armor again. I don't know if I can take more emotional damage about this, about my boys, but I would be so excited to see Tem again in another project, just because I think he deserves to shine in everything. Like I absolutely love him as an actor and just as a person. So this has been a long time coming for both you and Hayden and even Tem, because we forget Tem's been there since Attack of the Clones as well. Like he has been there just as long as like Hayden has, just voicing these and bringing these characters to life. So it's one of those things where it's like, why wouldn't you include it? We're doing this really. This show is, I think, going to do this great thing where it's mixing your prequels and kind of your in between prequel and OT, but also mixing animation as well. So why wouldn't you have all of this stuff to play with in the sandbox? So why wouldn't you bring them in? That's just my thing. Like, why wouldn't you do it?
Yeah, I'll get on it in a minute. So Roberto, thanks for being here. He has to head out. Like you said, he'll come back in a few weeks after he finishes the book. We'll hear
Bye,
his
buddy.
stuff. Yeah. So people know that I hate Cody. If you watched my episode last week, I ranted how much I hate Cody. It's a joke. It's one of my first episodes here, probably like my 6 or 7. I made that list of the best and worst clone troopers. And Cody was the worst because he couldn't kill Obi-Wan. He had one job and he couldn't finish it. Of course, I'm glad that he didn't. But do just stay. Make sure the job is done. Don't give it to some new clone and just go back to Coruscant. So every time Cody's name comes, and again in Bad Batch, in season 7, he's there in the first episode, gets knocked down, and we don't see him again. Like, really, you're the commander, you're one of the heads here, and anyway, Cody, you suck. So I said, don't give me Cody. If you bring him, kill him. Have Darth Vader kill him or something.
Oh my god!
But I had heard some, not rumors, but what people wanted. Maybe Cody's the villain of the show. He's hunting down Kenobi just to kind of redeem himself. Okay, that makes sense. But we'll see what happens. If it's Cody, see, Lauren said they redeem Cody. I don't want Cody.
Sign that petition. I'll sign that petition.
Yeah. Yeah, that Cody, man. That's me. You have one job, Cody. All right. Yeah, that you say at celebration something, and they say, Cody, it's your fault, or yeah, whatever it is.
Thanks for nothing.
Yeah. But, and I'm joking, if I see Cody, again, it's Tamura Morrison in orange clone trooper armor, I'll freak. I know he's hiding back there. So I'll freak. So hopefully he's there. He wants to be there. He wants to do all of it. We saw him training or doing some weightlifting the other day that he put on his Instagram. So I'm thinking he'll be back, at least as a clone trooper. Maybe not Cody or Rex, but it makes sense. It'll be great to see Kenobi reunited with Cody. I'll give them that. It'll be, even with Rex if he shows up, or in flashback or whatever.
You know what I just thought of?
What?
What if he's telling Cody to stay hidden?
Oh no! Oh man, that'll be something.
Oh my god, that'd be so good. Like the
imagine?
Inquisitors are hunting them, and he's like, "Just hide, just fucking freaking hide."
All right, I'll take it back. If Kenobi is able to forgive Cody and just stay hidden, don't confine me, stay hidden, I'll switch my tune. There'll be something. Hannah just broke it. All right.
Yes, bringing another to the cause.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Cody. Anyway, so let's try to get back to the trailer. So we see Kenobi in a few scenes. He's kind of in this speeder or something, just going down the sands of Tatooine. Then we see him on Daemu, this new planet with the other Inquisitor, and he's kind of just looking across the crowd. There's a gunfight on top of a roof, a blaster fight, I should say. We think it's him kind of hiding behind this column, shooting back. What do you think is going to happen that forces Kenobi to reveal himself as a Jedi? Do you think he's going to reveal himself to a Jedi, to the Inquisitors? Because we all think he's going to face Vader at some point. So are they getting too close to Luke? Because we see the third sister confront Owen, and that's kind of brings him out. Or I don't know. I don't know what's going to push him to reveal himself as a Jedi.
Yeah, well, because we even see in the trailer, like the Inquisitors killed somebody. We don't know
exactly.
who. I'm like, whoa, we got real dark here real fast.
Yeah.
Like that was my first thought. But we see that, and we see the Owens in the crowd, and he just kind of looks really conflicted, and whatever's being said. And then we see the Inquisitor and Owen get face to face, and I think that's what's going to kind of push Obi-Wan to reveal himself in some way, whether he pulls a lightsaber, whether he says who he is, regardless of what it is. I think the fact that Owen puts the Lars family on the Inquisitor's radar, I think is just like a huge no for Obi-Wan. So that's at least my theory.
Yeah, imagine if he reveals like Kanan does in Rebels. He's
Oh,
like, oh, I'm just gonna let out a secret or something to everyone, just stands there and just freaking puts everything together. Oh man, it's gonna be something. When
mhm.
he ignites his lightsaber for the first time, something bad has to be about
Oh,
to
yeah.
happen. I can't wait to see what it is.
Mhm.
So yeah, Kenobi trailer is finally here, May 25th, not 2 months away. Oh man, 6 episodes. Yeah, six.
Mhm.
There was talks on that EW interview or article that Catherine Kennedy said they talked about a second season as a possibility.
Mhm.
I kind of want this as a one-off. They said it is a limited series, but they always talk. I don't know if maybe we get introduced to a character and then it kind of branches off to their own
Mhm.
spin-off show. I
Mhm.
kind of want this Kenobi to be a one-off.
Mhm.
Hopefully, every episode is close to an hour. We get 6 hours of Kenobi. That's a
Oh,
trilogy, basically three-hour movies.
yeah.
Excited doesn't even measure up.
Not even
Any,
close.
yeah. Anything else from the trailer that we should kind of hint at?
No, I'm just excited. I've talked about this before, but Deborah Chow has directed all
Mm,
of my favorite
yeah.
Mandalorian episodes. I have full confidence in her abilities to handle this. Is she, and correct me if I don't have the right information, is she directing all of them, or are we doing the Mandalorian and bringing in guest
No,
directors?
she's doing all of it. So,
Perfect. I'm
and
even
then,
more pumped now because I couldn't
yes.
remember.
So I'm pretty sure that's why she didn't direct any of the Boba Fett or
Mhm.
anything else. I only did two of Book of Mandalorian, just because
Yeah.
she's directing all of it,
Mhm.
and only one writer. I know they changed the writer that they had kind of halfway. It's in that
Mhm.
article also. It didn't match with what they wanted to do, so they brought in
Mhm.
someone new. I forgot the name, but it's one writer and one director doing the whole series, which
Mhm.
I think for a limited series makes sense.
Yeah,
Just
I
have
think
one vision.
that bodes well for consistency, at least in
Yeah.
terms of characterization and kind of where, like, directing, for lack
Mhm.
of a better word, where the story is going to
Yeah.
go. Because so many of us now, like, again, I remember watching Attack of the Clones until the DVD almost melted. I remember when Revenge of the Sith came out, like, that was the coolest thing ever. Like, a
Mhm.
lot of us were very young when all of this happened, like all these characters we were introduced to, and now we've kind of grown up, and so have they to a certain degree. And now it's kind of like, you just want it done right. And
Mhm.
I know everybody's interpretation of right is going to look wildly different, but overall, as a fandom, everyone seems very excited and very pleased
Yeah.
about what we've seen so far. And knowing trailers for Star Wars, we've probably only seen like part of the first episode,
Yeah.
and that's it.
Yeah. I mean, we'll see. Every week there'll be discourse, and we'll say just shut your mouth or you're right. And probably just keep it to yourself.
Yep.
But high hopes for Kenobi. The team behind it seems to be locked on. If you're bringing Ewan back, I mean, also Hayden Christensen takes a lot to bring him back to play this
Oh my god.
character. Bringing Owen and Beru, I can't believe I just blanking on names. And yeah, it's whatever. It's happened so much. So I'm pretty sure we'll get a quick cameo of Organa. We'll get Bail Organa at some
Oh
point, I
yes,
think.
Jimmy Schmidt,
Yeah, Jimmy
bring it
Smith.
back.
Give me Jimmy. Palpatine, we talked last week with our friend
Oh.
Oti. Rumors of if Palpatine might be there. I want Palpatine, like I said, just in the Senate. Give me Palpatine and Bale in the Senate arguing about what's going on with this new empire. That's what I want to see. Just that machination of him behind the scenes. Anyway, and then we got one last image. It was of Darth Vader. We saw, and we know it's Hayden Christensen under the suit, an image of Darth Vader, which I first thought it was from Rogue One. I had to read to make sure it was from
I did
the
too.
Kenobi show. Well, he's there. I can wait. 2 months. We'll be there soon enough.
We will.
Yeah.
It
And
can't come soon enough, and it's going to be here before we know it.
yeah. So one final thought from Lauren. She says, what if Obi sees Anakin like Ahsoka did in Rebels in a force vision of some kind, and that's how they see Hayden's face? Oh man.
If we had a Clone Wars flashback, like, again, scream from space. Like,
So long time, a galaxy far away. On my second season, I had our friend talking with my hands here. We did a whole episode on Kenobi, the tragedy of Kenobi, and he was a little bit iffy on the show. He didn't want it. And we talked about that unfinished scene in Clone Wars, this campfire scene of Anakin and Obi-Wan talking about Ahsoka leaving and how Anakin thinks he failed there and all this. And Kenobi's like, it's not your fault. Don't worry about it. Oh, well, how would you feel if I kind of let you down or if I left? And Kenobi's like, oh, that will never happen. And I said, give me that as the introduction to the show. If you do that, hearts break for everyone. And if you do a flashback and we have Ahsoka there also, I don't know. It's gonna, like you said, we're all gonna be screaming. It's like 1,000 screams, but instead of kind of everything going in silence, like I don't know, we're all just gonna explode in happiness. Just I cannot be. All right, so we've been going almost like 45 minutes, and we haven't touched up on our main topic, but we'll get to it. So that's Kenobi. Like I said, guys, if you're listening to this later on, let us know in the comments or shoot us something on Twitter and let us know how you feel about the Kenobi trailer and your expectations for it. Do you think we're getting a second trailer? We're getting a second trailer at some point.
I think we'll get one of those like 30-second teasers with
May 4th?
some of the. Yeah. I like your thinking. Big brain thoughts right here. I'm just like, it's going to happen. I don't have a plan for when.
Again, it will be some random Monday. Because that's the thing. Book of Boba Fett, just on Mondays, we're releasing clips and trailers. Like, dude, what the hell is Anyway, we'll see it.
Yeah.
All right. So for our second topic, and our main topic is the High Republic. Finally back to the High Republic. Love this book so much. Midnight Horizon by Daniel Jose Older. So Hannah, and again, this is going to be big spoilers. Before we get into it, I haven't heard, at least here officially, your thoughts so far on the High Republic. We're done with phase 1. So in general, your thoughts on this first phase of the High Republic.
Yeah, no, excuse me. I have absolutely loved the High Republic. Somebody mentioned at the end of last year, it's like, oh, we've only had the High Republic like for a year, like maybe 10 months of that. And I'm like, it feels like forever. We've gotten so much. And it's all such good content. Like you have the comics, you've got the books, we had the audio drama with Lauren Eddy with the Tempest Runner. Like we have just had so much coming from the High Republic that A, it feels really overwhelming, but B, it also feels accessible no matter what bit you kind of come into. And I think Midnight Horizon was kind of a good example of that. And I have loved all of Daniel Jose Older's books that he's done so far for the High Republic, and the fact that he brought in Ram and Wreath, who are two of my favorite Jedi from this so far. I'm just like, yes, I will read it all day long.
Yeah, so everyone knows my thoughts on the High Republic. I think right now is my favorite era in Star Wars, maybe because that's everything out there is just High Republic. Some of my favorite Jedi are in the High Republics. The way they speak about the Force and the Order is my favorite in Star Wars. So right now, the High Republic is my favorite thing out there. But like you said, it's so accessible. It's both. It can be accessible if you only want to do the adult books, because you can follow the main story. If you want to only do the comics, because that's what you prefer. There's a lot of important things happening in the comic side. And if you want to do everything, like a lot of us, then go on. But there's also that burnout that some people kind of, okay, I need a little break. I'm not doing the comics, just a few special ones. But I'm doing most of the books. And they've been great. And then Midnight Horizon, like I've said like 20 times already, was the perfect kind of palate cleanser or follow-up for Fallen Star. Fallen Star was so heavy.
It was emotionally exhausting.
Yes, by the end, you're just, where are we going from here? And then you get Midnight Horizon, which is this book that runs the gamut of Star Wars. I've said it's not my favorite High Republic book. It's not my favorite Star Wars book, but I think it's the perfect Star Wars book because it covers there's action, there's laugh. I think it's the funniest book, at least in the High Republic.
So funny.
There's Jedi Knights and Jedi Masters kind of having this conflict of where they feel they fit inside the Jedi Order. We have Padawans and this coming of age story with Ram and Wreath, just kind of numb. At least Ram is numb. He doesn't feel anything because he's just been fighting and what's going on. And Wreath is on the other side. Kind of, I don't have time to feel anything because I'm always going. I'm supposed to be focused on what's my path. And
Mm-hmm.
he tells, how can I be a knight at the end where I don't have a path?
Mm-hmm.
And Yoda says, how can you be lost when there's no path? It's like, freaking Yoda, you're the best. We'll talk about him. And then, like we said, there's comic relief, there's lightsaber action, there's a big battle at the end. So if you like Star Wars, a specific thing in Star Wars, you'll find it in
Oh,
this book.
it's so but it's again, it's in a way that you're not completely overwhelmed by one thing or another. Like one thing can be going, like the serious conversation can be happening, but then something else happens. Maybe either a lightsaber fight or a funny quip or something. You're like, okay, like here it is.
Yeah.
So, but
So
yeah, no.
real quick, before we go a little bit into details, your overall kind of thoughts on Midnight Horizon. What were some of the points that you really enjoyed? Anything that didn't kind of click with you?
Mm-hmm. No, I think for me, I think it was the best way possible to end phase one. I think that was the best way, the best book. Like you said, it's a palate cleanser. Because if we had just ended on Fallen Star, it'd have been like, well, hell, this is depressing. Like, this is just awful. But you needed that little bit of like levity mixed with like a mystery and intrigue. It was almost, it almost read a little bit like a detective book, like with like kind of the alternate things that were going on and the intertwined storylines. But I think overall, I really enjoyed this book. Again, I'm really biased. I love Reith as a character. He reminds me of me when I was like in junior high and high school. And I actually talked to Arzu over at the Geeky Waffle about like why I loved Reith and Reith so much. So you can go listen to that later after this, after I'm done ranting. But I was also really surprised about how much I liked Ram, because I read Race to Crash Point Tower. And I was like, oh, this is just going to be a little kid's book, like whatever. Like it'll be a good like add-on to which one is it? Sorry, Rising Storm. Again, there's so many books. I've got to look at my bookshelf and be like, okay, which one does this fall into? But I was so surprised at how much how quickly I fell in love with Ram. Like the book's less than like 200 pages long, and I'm like, I love this character. He's so sweet. And then to see him in this book, just kind of like you said, you really struggle with, for what I would say, and again, I'm no expert, with basically PTSD with everything that's happened. And because he's young, like he's barely 12, 13 years old. He's very young.
Yeah, because I think Reith is like 17 around that point, and he says he's a couple years older. So I would say between 13 to 15 probably.
And and you're just seeing them both try to process these very adult emotions and events that are happening around them. And again, they both deal with it very differently. Like Reith buries himself in work, Ram shuts down essentially. And it's kind of a like, how do you find that, again, it's going to sound corny, balance between those two middles?
Yeah,
extremes,
it's not corny, because I know you haven't read it in a while, but that's what Reith tells him. Balance. You gotta balance all your emotion, because Ram went from 0 to 100. Again, sorry, I know that's an expression out there, but he goes from 0 to 100 in terms of his emotion, that Reith has to come in and say, just think about your little cart with all your tools, and each tool works for something. So each tool is an emotion. You pick one up, you put one down. So that's how you have to deal with balance. But yes, it is kind of PTSD. And let's talk a little bit about this relationship between Ram and Reith. I love Reith from Into the Dark, which is my favorite book of all times. And Reith was a great character. And pair him with Comac, which is in my top 2 or 3 Jedi. I love that. And then you bring Ram, which I also love, from Race to Crash Point Towers. And they have a great relationship. And again, kudos to Daniel Jose Older for what he did. He created Ram, but then grabbing all these other characters from all these other creators and kind of keep pushing them. So we have this kind of coming of age story with these two kids, which I love the relationship. And also gives us another point of view. We don't always have to follow the Jedi Masters and all their big issues with the Order, like Comac is having, Kantam Sai that went on a Wayseeker mission, which I love, freaking Orla Joreni and being a Wayseeker, and what Kantam, we saw what that looks like. His relationship with Atar, will jump into how all the diversity and inclusion in this book, how great that work and how important it is, especially now. But Ram and Reith, that relationship, they're just kids. We all were kids, like you said. Reith reminded you of being younger. It reminds me sometimes of my kids, which are still a little bit younger, but reminds me of me and my brothers kind of growing up. And give us that other perspective. Yeah, they're still going through this, but they're still kids having fun. poor Reed falls in love with everyone that he sees,
Oh, I
sees
love
Crash for
that
five
for him.
minutes. Am I flirting? What's going on? Dude, take a break. I know
He's
Homer.
so cute. The like Jedi hormones, they just cannot be contained. And I love that for him. It's
Yeah.
so cute and
I
awkward.
love Reed. I love Crash, which is the main
Oh,
of those new characters. She's a great character that they introduce, and most of the books are halfway from her point of view, everything that she's going through.
mhm.
And another thing for this book, like you say, is this mystery going on, but there's also a great twist at the end when Traumat, this father of finance or whatever, we think they got killed in the first 3 pages. No, he's actually working with the Nile. Peace, guys. Haha. So that was a great reveal
Oh my
of the
God, it was.
yeah. So, so this book also, I know you say you haven't read the comics. Same for myself. I haven't read all
Mhm,
the comics, especially the High Republic Adventures. I think it's where Ram and a lot of these Lula, Scene,
mhm, mhm,
Cantam kind of come from that.
mhm.
But I didn't feel lost. If you've
No.
read the comics, 100% it's gonna be a better experience. But I didn't feel lost because Daniel does a great thing to kind of give a quick summary of what's been going on with Crix, trying
Mhm.
to find this guy. So I love that.
I think and that was actually in my notes. Like, I
Mhm.
think what this book did really, really well, that again, the other books have kind of done to a little bit of a quote unquote lesser extent, but
Mhm.
this book really did integrate all the different mediums that we've kind of been
Yeah.
seeing throughout phase one. And again, the whole thing with like Crix and Lula and Zine. I knew of them just because, like, again,
Yeah.
I'm in the Twitterverse. Like, I
Mhm.
see like little panels that people will put up, and I've talked to people about it. But the overall story I'm not like fully aware of or immersed in. But again, I didn't feel lost. Like, if I had given this again to somebody who's just reading the books, it'd been like, oh, okay, new
Yeah.
character, works for the Nile, great. Like, carry on. Like, you don't feel talked down to. You don't feel
Mhm.
like you're
Yeah.
being overly explained to. And I think Daniel did a really, really good job with this. So
And
hats off to him for
also,
that.
like you said, with Race to Crash One Towers, which is this middle grade book, but it's a great book. But it gives you some, not only Ram, we have seen in there, we got Lula.
Mhm.
So we have a little bit of what's going on. We know that Scene is this force sensitive non Jedi, which I love, and I
Oh
wish we get more of that in Star Wars. Not everyone that uses the force needs to be a Jedi or a Sith. Give us more of that. So you know those characters a little bit.
yeah. Mhm.
That she has to hide her force powers because her people don't believe in the Jedi because they had a big thing in the past. So
Mhm.
even if you read that book, not the comics, you still have an idea. But just let's start talking about diversity, inclusion,
Oh
and we
my
have
God.
3 great romantic relationships here, all in different stages, all through queer relationships.
Mhm.
And the first is Lula and Scene, which is again younger people, Jedi and non-Jedi, trying to find what's this new feeling that I'm
Mhm.
feeling. A lot of us have been there. Is this real? And from Scene's side, she knows that Lula wants to be this great Jedi. Am I
Mhm.
kind of taking that away from her? Did you love seeing all these different type of relationship kind of up there up front? It's not in the background. It's not kind of,
Mhm.
oh yeah, if you connect the dots. And then with this
Mhm.
Lula and Scene ending kind of with Scene sending her this message, I need you, I love you, I'll find you, because she's in Starlight, rest in peace Starlight. But so with this first relationship, what were your thoughts on it throughout the whole book?
I I freaking love every single relationship that's in this
Yeah.
book. Like, I'm rooting for all of you, even with Reith and everybody. I'm rooting for you. But with these two in particular, again, because I wasn't fully aware of the characters kind of as a whole, just seeing this relationship and the obvious like love and care that they have for each other, especially with Zine just going, I want what's best for Lula. Like, I want her to achieve all her goals. And Lula's the same way. She's like, I just want Zine to like be the best that she can be, whether or not she is a Jedi. Like,
Yeah.
I love her for who she is, like as this force sensitive, quote unquote, regular person.
Yeah.
I don't know how to have a great word for it. But yeah, I really enjoyed seeing this relationship and that whole, I think it was a meditation scene
Yeah.
where they could feel each other's thoughts and stuff. I'm like, this is probably one of the most beautiful things I've ever read in my life.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like,
On a Star Wars book.
yeah, it was just one of those things that, again, it didn't feel pushed on you. It didn't feel forced. It felt like a very natural extension of these two characters. And you could just, and you got so invested so quickly. Like again, with that message with Starlight, you're just like, oh my God, I hope this works. I
Yeah.
can't take any more pain.
No, and again, I don't know, because that comic line is coming to an end, or maybe just came to an end. So I don't know what's happening there, because that comic is ending with Starlight on fire. So there's spoilers for Fallen Star, but at this point, it's in the cover. It's falling down. So
Star beacons falling down. Sorry, that was. I'm sorry.
Fine. A few weeks ago, we just jumped into an Evanescence cover band here, so it was fun. But yeah, we don't know what's happening to Lula. But that scene of them just meditating, just looking at each other with their eyes closed, kind of feeling the same thing. Even when they're going after Crix, they're on different side of this room, and they know when to. Okay, now we're gonna open the door, whatever. But yeah, it's not kind of push out there in terms of we're making it two female characters, ha ha ha. No, it feels so natural.
And that's been an MO of the High Republic since the get-go. Like this isn't something they're just throwing out there just to throw out there. These creators and authors have been very intentional in putting these relationships out there, setting up these relationships. So when something does happen, like when Zine says I love you to Lula, like it's not like just out of the blue and you're just like, where the hell did that come from? Like you can be happy about it, but you're like, where the hell did that come from? Like this is one thing. This is something you were like rooting for. You wanted to happen because you've been able to see that progression of that relationship throughout, again, whatever medium you've been.
And I don't have it on my notes, but just to finish with scene real quick, one of my favorite scenes with her, it's when she's talking to Crix after they captured him, and they're talking, if you just kind of shut off your force powers, you can be normal, you can get away from this. And she's like, she has a whole sentence where it's like, I'm done hiding who I am for people like you. I'm just going to be myself, which is just a great message to young kids out there. Just you got to be you. Especially, again, for LGBTQ and underrepresented people. Stop hiding who you are. You got to be yourself, and that's when you finally be free. So it's, again, it's Star Wars, blah, 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 but there's something more.
There's always been something more. It's a good message for adults reading the book too. I mean, it's good for everybody. Again, it's really important for that middle-aged group that's going to be reading this. So
and then we get another one with more back and forth, which is Crash and Savino. I don't know how you pronounce her name.
I was saying Savino as I was reading. I'm like, I got this.
So we also had that, of course. Crash, kind of poor Reef, like we mentioned. He's like, oh, a girl. And that was Ranford. Oh, a girl is like, what gave it away? Poor Reef. Hopefully he's nice love somewhere. But then we have this other relationship. Again, they have this back and forth. We click, we don't click. Your job is this. I want to be closer, but you don't let people in. You just kind of keep them a little bit far apart. And by the end, it seems like it's going to work out. That relationship is not explored as much, but it's another one that's out there, which some people can kind of gravitate to it. So real quick, your thoughts on Crash, this new character? She runs this protection agency. She's another kid. She's a teenager somehow. But a lot of the book kind of runs through her.
Yeah. I think Crash lives up to her name. I think that is the best name possible for a character. And I just loved her description. Like she's very like punk and like has the overalls. And I'm just like, yes, I like this. I liked her like the first time I read her description. I'm like, okay, we're going to latch on here. But I think she is it's cool to see the High Republic perspective from kind of a quote unquote normal person. As normal as a teenager running a bodyguard guild basically can be. But just her perspective on life, kind of the things that are happening both within Corellia and within like Starlight Beacon and the galaxy as a whole, and kind of how it's affecting her world, I think is really nice. And I always like it when Star Wars does that, takes the really wide perspective of the Jedi and really narrows it down into maybe a couple of characters, in this case, like with Reef and Ram, but also you get Crash, which I wasn't expecting to get that much of her perspective, but I'm really glad we did, because you got like like how Corellia's underworld works in this particular time, which I'm like, creepy worms, didn't like them in Solo, still don't like them now. They just creep me out a little. But also just kind of how she deals with life, like just everyday normal life for her.
So I love that this book takes place in Corellia. because it gave me all those Solo vibes. I love Solo. I
Mhm,
love the vibes I got from it in Book of Boba Fett. There's a lot of Solo in that
mhm.
series. And then I picked this book up, and it's all in Corellia. So we have Corellian hounds. We have the Coronet Spaceport. We got a shout out to Lady Proxima. She's there. And the Grindalids, the worms.
The Grindel, yeah, that's what they are. I
Ah,
was like, what are the creepy worms?
they're creepy worms, but they are very menacing in this book.
Oh
They're only at the beginning a little and then at the end. But
yeah.
they chop someone up in half. Poor Traumat. Sorry that you killed my kid. I'm gonna eat you up. But then Proxima's there, and like, yes, there we go. She's still alive all these years later, kind of going up the ranks. But we see that on the world, like you said. And it's with Crash, like you just mentioned, this normal person that's not a Jedi, it's not a Sith, it doesn't have superpowers. And a lot of people say, just give us stories like those. There's regular people in the galaxy. Let's see those stories. And she's a big part of this book. So I'm glad that we got to see that through her and just her whole kind of arc. So she lost her best friend at the beginning, still has to protect people that she doesn't want to protect, cannot then do this Nile masquerade, which I remember this was kind of pushed out there. Oh, look at now in their nice black tie with their mask on. We didn't know what was going to happen, and then we got that in this book. Were you surprised that that was the Nile masquerade, and did you enjoy? So I'll say again, Corellia, this planet of rich people in the core, not really caring about what happens there to the regular folk. Yeah, let's
Huh.
fucking do this.
What does
Yeah,
that sound like?
I know, right?
Star Wars can't be political ever, right?
This book has so many things. The
Oh,
now infiltrating the police force. Oh, I wonder what that is.
hmm.
Yeah, the same thing. Oh, yeah, that's probably that's we don't care. The now in Corellia. No, no, just bring us
Oh, yeah.
those
Let's
outer rim Jedi to help us. We're busy here with this political dispute in the moon. We can't get to their level. I wonder why.
let's do the dumbest thing possible and wear Nile masks when we know Nile are around.
Yeah.
I got very like, I'm gonna mispronounce this word horribly. I'm sorry. Pardon my literal French. Bourgeoisie vibes from it, like very
Mhm.
French Revolution, like
Yeah.
let them eat cake, let everybody else
Mhm.
suffer. And I like when, like, I think it was from Reef's perspective. I think when they walked in that room, because they were dressed as
Yeah.
those like ancient bodyguards that don't say anything.
Oh
Like,
yeah, those with the red skulls.
yeah, like that whole like long dead assassin guild. And they walked in, and you just read the line. Everyone was wearing Nihil masks, and you're like, oh shit. Oh shit. You're like, this
Yeah.
is such a horrible idea. Backpedal. Go, 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 go.
Yeah.
But yeah, again, it was one of those things where you're like, you make the argument Star Wars isn't political. Have you are you paying attention?
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing?
Yeah,
So
Danielle went full on this
oh
book.
yeah.
Just
He's like
making it. Yeah. Here's
right there.
yeah, screw it. So our friend Buck is here. Buck, the winner of our Rogue One solo trigger challenge.
Boop, boop.
He still has 150 pages to go. We might spoil a little bit for you, but yeah,
Yeah.
it is a great book.
It ramps
Uh,
up like super hard, like straight vertical right at the end.
Yeah. So let's talk before we kind of start closing a few things from the end. Is Cantum Sai, which a lot of it is from his perspective. This non-binary character, I guess, or goes by they them,
Mhm.
and telling Comac, because Comac, if you follow his trajectory from Into the Dark, has always have this weird relationship with the Order, and where he fits there right now with the way that Jedi are doing things, which I
Mhm.
love everything about it. So he's questioning his place on it, and he
Mhm.
thinks that Jedi have to be either more aggressive that they're being, we're just always in the defensive. We gotta go, 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 and he's getting extremely angry.
Mhm.
And he's talking about Orlan going way seeking, and Cantam then goes, well, I did this at one point.
Like surprise.
And he's like, what, Yoda let you go? Yeah. And I love that relationship between Cantam and Yoda, talking about what do you say, those attachments, letting go, what it actually means,
Yeah.
how
It's not
difficult.
like it's not shutting yourself down, which we see with
Yeah.
Ram. Like we see almost a like not a physical, but we see a manifestation of both of those sides in Wreath and Ram,
Yeah.
essentially.
Yeah, so I wrote here because he says some Jedi thought that it meant suppressing emotions, talking about non-attachment, forsaking love, bearing any discomfort, and for Cantam it was the opposite. he couldn't master emotions or let emotions master control you. He trusted the force and he knew that Lula was in trouble, but he had to let her go and not possess her. I trust that I trust in the force, I trust in her, I'm gonna let her go. And then he tells Cormac, well, I went on a way seeking. There was a point I went to Yoda, said, because he hasn't been knighted yet, thinking why, and Yoda being the great master, take your time. There's a reason you haven't been knighted. You gotta find yourself. And he gives you his lightsaber and just goes. And then he falls in love with this trapeze artist.
I love that.
Atar. And we get this great relationship. Again, yes, it's same-sex relationship. Sorry if you feel uncomfortable with that. If you want to imagine that just in terms of relationship, one of the best relationships we've seen in Star Wars, of how passionate it is, how real it feels. And then he follows him for I don't know how long, just through all the planets and things. And then it comes to a point that it ends with some relationship happens. And then Kantam is still not ready to go back to Jedi. He keeps doing some of these weird jobs until he feels the call of the Force again. And then that's how he saves Lula and becomes her master. Kantam Sai, Atar, tell me your thoughts about this relationship when you started reading it, everything about it.
I thought it was so beautiful. Like with Lula and Zine, I don't really know a whole lot about Kantam outside of just kind of what I've read a little bit more. And a shout out to our friend Hope, who writes probably one of the best High Republic fanfics I've ever read. That's where I get most of my information. And I have to still separate out what's canon and what's fic. But it's given me a really good appreciation for that character as a whole because she gets it right. And you see that throughout Midnight Horizon. You're like, oh yeah, this feels like the exact same character. But I love the fact that they were so honest with themselves. I like that nothing really felt forced. I think maybe near the end of that relationship, it was kind of a little bit of a kind of cling on where it's like, I'm a little afraid to take that next step. Yeah. But I know this is the right thing to do. And I don't know. I really like that. I like the honest and raw emotion that Kantam has towards the Jedi Order. We see this with all of them, with Comac, we see it with Kantam. We see the Jedi struggling with attachments, and we know again, many thousand years into the future, an attachment is what is going to basically cause the fall of the Jedi Order. And we see, and I'm going to kind of veer off from Kantam a little bit and go into the Yoda Kantam relationship. I liked seeing this side of Yoda. Yoda has not really ever been a great favorite of mine. I think he's great, but the fact that especially again with the perspective of the prequels, fear leads to hate leads to anger, But reading that sentence about attachment, this is what it is. This is not what we think it is. This is not what we've interpreted it as. I'm like, what happened? It makes you wonder, what happened? Was it Kantam? Was it Anakin? Was it just a whole stack on of all of these attachments and relationships that caused you to almost completely change your tune almost 1,000 years later? What caused this? Because that is so beautiful. You can love something, but let it go. Again, that sounds like a motivational poster. I'm so sorry right there.
I think that's something that by the end of Phase 3, by the end of the High Republic, it's what made the Jedi go from what it is now in the High Republic to, I think it's 150 or 200 years to when we meet them in the Phantom Menace.
Very dogmatic, very political.
Yes, because Yoda, and I'm kind of trying to remember exactly what he said, but it's kind of course, we have to learn to let go and attachment. Every time I have a new Padawan, I have to learn to let them go and become their own thing. How difficult it was for me to let you, talking to Kantam, just go out there and find yourself hoping that maybe you will come back. And then he's like, oh, why did I come back? Or so, because the Force, it's in you. You always were going to come back. It was part of the general Force or whatever. So it's going to be very interesting to see what happened, not just in Yoda, but in the whole order to make this change. And I also just finished, with Kantam, talking with Atar. I think Atar is telling him, oh, I can't make you, don't leave the Force for me or because of me. And he's saying, I'm not leaving it for you. I'm doing this for me. Which another one, kind of similar a little bit to Obi-Wan and Satine, when Obi-Wan kind of puts it on her a little bit. Oh, if you had told me to leave, I would have left. And here it's if I leave, it's not for you. I'm doing it for myself. Again, taking that ownership, similar to seeing, kind of saying, I'm
Mhm.
done being someone else. So I love
Exactly.
that whole thing with Kantan, a character that I've only seen with people posting on Twitter because I haven't read them in the comics.
Mhm.
It was a great character, a great relationship. His relationship with Comac, trying to balance him out, was great. And then just to finish off a little bit with Yoda and then jumping into Comac because I love him so much. And unfortunately, he's gone. He's still alive, but he's out there. I know. I'm losing all my favorites. Orla Yaren is dead. I know.
Oh, yeah.
But Yoda, there was always throughout the book mentions of Yoda. Yoda, where's Yoda? He went on this
Mhm.
mission, no one knows. So I'm like, what's going on with Yoda? Why so many
Mhm.
people kind of thinking about him? And then of course he shows up, saves the day, comes up with a stranger just wrapped in bandages or something. Reminded me of, I forget her name, from the Alphabet Squadron trilogy.
Oh, I know who you're talking about. Yep, I completely
Yeah,
spaced it
she
too.
was my
Yep.
favorite one in that book, in
Yep.
that trilogy. But she's all wrapped in bandages. Can she
Mhm.
even be alive at this point? But anyway, we don't know who this stranger is, I don't
Mm-mm.
think.
Mm-mm.
But saves the day and then kind of ends saying, oh, we're all going back to Coruscant because to forge our path to the future, guided by the secrets of the past, we will be. With,
Mhm.
oh, now I know what we have to go 250 years into the past for phase two. Yoda's going to be a big part of that, obviously. So
Mhm.
what happened back then has to do with the leveler, I guess. Because if you've read the Eye of the Storm comic books, there's
Mhm.
only two, which I did read those. There's a thing with Martian Rose family. They had these creatures. The Jedi didn't like it, tried to exterminate all of them, and that's why he's doing this. So are we gonna see his family and what happened with his family and the Jedi back then? It's gonna be something. It was
Mhm.
great seeing Yoda and great seeing that quote. Before you tell me your thoughts on that quote, let's see what Buck is saying. Kantan's weakness isn't the same as Anakin's. Same as Kanan's weakness isn't the same. He could be attached and it wouldn't corrupt him. That's another great point. Not just because you have attachments, you might be corrupted. Another great thing about the High Republic, and this is from the first book I read, which was I forgot the name. A Test of Courage,
Mm.
when Vernestra is telling Skier, oh, Imri went to the dark. Did we lose him? And Skier's like, it's not that one thing. Falling to the dark side is a choice I have to make over and over and over
Mhm.
again. Come on, it's there. It's great. Anakin, unfortunately, went
Made
too
a
many
choice.
times.
Mhm.
But your thoughts on that, or what do you expect, I guess, that why are we going to the past?
All I'm thinking now is that Anastasia song, "To the Past." Sorry, everything could be a song if you try hard enough.
Hmm.
Anywho's, yeah, I actually had that quote in my notes as well because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, like, and I haven't really been able to read the was
Mhm.
it the Eye of the Storm? Is that what you said? That
Yeah.
particular comic run talking about the leveler. So that kind of introduction to me is, I think it's gonna get weird, it's gonna get dark, it's gonna be all alien and creepy.
You nice.
And I am here for it. I'm like getting like massive predator vibes from the
Oh.
leveler, and I'm
Mhm.
like, just make it creepy because those were the scariest scenes in Fallen Star where you're like, oh my god, it's cold, you feel
Yeah.
gray, you're like, run, bitch.
Yeah.
So
Oh
I'm
man.
interested to find out the history of kind of like what we're gonna see in the past of the High Republic, I
Mhm.
guess you can still call it,
Yeah.
and see how it's gonna inform what we've already seen, but also where we're going in phase 3, where we're going to end
Mhm.
essentially.
Oh,
So
yeah. I'm not ready for it.
no.
But yeah, this is why we know why we learn that we have to go to the past. But if you want to learn a little bit more about the Leveler, which is also known as the Nameless, which is even creepier.
Ooh.
So that two comic arc of the Eye of the Storm. First,
Mhm.
the first issue kind of tells you the path of Martian, but then the second one tells you it's him going to find the leveler in this planet and talks a little bit about that.
Okay.
And also from Daniel Jose, there's a 5 issue. Is it 5 or 4? This I forgot the name. This mystery noir that he just did.
Mhm.
Um,
It's the one with the creepy song.
yeah, Shara, kara, kara. See, we can all sing. We can all keep going.
Yes, musical number.
But then by the end, they find out, I think like 2 books or 2 comics kind of touch on the leveler a lot, and we see it from Starlight. So pick those up if you want, or you can find them on Twitter. I'm sure someone just posted.
Oh, I'm sure.
But anyway, Comac. I just want to end on Comac real quick because, like I say, it's one of my favorite characters. I already lost Orla Jareni. So Orla, Comac, and Vernessa are my three favorite Jedi from the High Republic.
Mhm.
I lost Orla already. Rest in peace. I'm so sad.
My
And
girl.
Comac is just feeling her. I need to go save her again. That attachment, and Kanta had to hold him back. She's out there. We need you here. By the time you get there, and she's already gone.
Mhm.
So I love that Comac's last act as a Jedi was knighting Reed.
Oh my
Something that
god,
Reed
I know.
wasn't sure if he was ready. He wanted to stay on Coruscant, then went to Starlight. That's where he thought everything was going to be, surrounded by all his friends. He goes through hell in this book, but Comac knights him. And the knighting ceremony is great with him, Kantam, and Yoda. Through the will of the Force or whatever, Rise, Jedi Knight, or Knight of the Jedi, something like that. Cuts his braid, hands him his lightsaber, and just goes off. Breaks my heart.
I know.
Second time that a book ends with a lightsaber being given to someone,
I know.
which was freaking heartbreaking in Fallen Star. But
Oh
again,
god.
I know. I'm sorry to bring that
It's
back.
okay. We're all good. We're all emotionally damaged from these books. We're fine.
Yeah, but then we see what I think is the first of the lost 20. These 20 Jedi Masters that felt disillusioned with the Order and left it. Either
Mhm.
left the Order completely or became a Sith like Count Dooku. But this is the first time, I think, at least chronologically, that we've seen someone kind of become one of these lost 20.
Mhm.
Wasn't expecting it.
No.
Completely thrown by surprise. I thought he might go way seeking or something. But he had been disillusioned with the Order for years. So not completely surprised, but surprised when it happened. But I love so much that his last act was knighting Reef.
Mhm.
Broke my heart. And now my second favorite Jedi is gone.
But he's
Don't
still
touch my mess.
alive that you
He's
know of.
alive. Maybe he won't come back. Because he said, I'm done. I'm not taking a break. I'm not going way seeking. I'm done.
I'm done.
I'm
Yeah.
leaving. He's out there. Maybe he comes back as a smuggler or something.
There you go.
Don't do anything to Vernessa, because then I'm really gonna be in depression. But your thoughts on this final scene, and then kind of your overall thoughts on phase one, I guess, as we start closing up.
Mhm. No, I really like Comac as a character. I loved kind of because we were introduced to him initially in Into the Dark, if I'm correct, because that's when
Yeah.
we also met pretty much
Or-
Orla and everything. You do kind of see that conflict of like, well, this really bad thing happened, like when they were Padawans, and then X, Y, and Z, and it just kind of spiraled. And you see everything that happened with Rising Storm, Fallen Star, and it's just so interesting to me because you have this character who, for all intents and purposes, is him and Reith were almost too much the same in this book. And I mean that in a really good way. Like they both dealt kind of with their trauma in similar but a little different ways. Like we said, Reith just like buried himself in work and was just like, just move on, carry on, do what you need to do. And Comax was just to kind of lash out and be very emotional about everything. And I think both are very valid considering what both of them have gone through. But with Comac, it felt very raw and very real because we haven't really seen one of the adult Jedi really react in this kind of way, and really kind of push the question on of like, why am I here? What am I doing? Because for all intents and purposes, the Jedi in this era are pretty damn cool. Like they're not perfect, but they're pretty damn cool. And but you have this perspective of somebody like Comac who has served the Order like very much by the book for years and years. And now he's like, I can't do this anymore. Like his world has just essentially been upended with Starlight and just all of the trauma that's been compacted upon him, like losing friends, watching the Nile start taking over. Like it makes sense that he has this reaction. Like we need to do something about this. But you still see what kind of man he was maybe before we met him as a character when he's like, I'm gonna knight Reith. Like he knows he's ready. It's that leap of faith that he has in this young man that he probably hasn't known for more than a year-ish.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, you're ready. Like you've got this. You're going to be a better Jedi than I could ever be.
Yeah.
And I think that just speaks so much into his character.
Yeah, I love that whole relationship from since Into the Dark, and why I fell in love with Comac and Orla and Into the Dark is they went through this whole thing in Aram, which is this planet that then we see in the Fallen Star. They had this Aram and Aroth conflict or something when Koma loses his master and
Mhm.
has to just leave her there, just covered by sand. He couldn't even mourn her. And he's like, what the hell is this? Oh, attachments. You can, oh, we got to keep going. It's like, no, my master just died. I grew up
Mhm.
with her. The only family basically that I had and through my formative years, and now she's dead. I can't do anything about it. And that's when it
Mhm.
starts. And when they lose Des Rydan in the
Mhm.
Amaxine station, oh, a young man dies unmourned. And it's like, what the hell is this order? And of course, with
Mhm.
Orla, the Force telling her something different from what the order was saying. If I followed the Force and acted on instinct instead of what the order says, I would have saved both of them.
Mhm.
I just love the whole trajectory. And by the end of Into the Dark, Reef had lost his master, and he says, "Okay, I need you," because Des Rydan goes, "Hi, doggy." Des Rydan cannot goes. I gotta go do this barrage bow. I lost my connection to the Force. I gotta find it. Orla is doing way seeking, and Comac is. I still believe in the Order, but I
Mhm.
gotta find my place. And
Mhm.
I need you to help me with this Wreath. So he takes on this new Padawan that needs a master and hopes that Wreath kind of brings that good feeling in the Force in the Order, I should say.
Kind of like fills a void for him almost, I
Yeah,
think. Even if he
exactly.
wouldn't admit that to himself.
Yeah. But then, like you said, this past year, Reed has surpassed him as a lightsaber in lightsaber combat. He's a great Jedi. So he kind of, I did what I needed to do with him.
Mhm.
But I think it was the loss of Orla that just threw him, because that
Mhm.
affected him very much. Because
Mhm.
throughout this book, as we see through Cantam, it's Comac is getting more aggressive and a lot of anger is building up. And Orla was kind of that anchor that he could always kind of
Mhm.
attach himself to. And when he felt her pass through the Force, it's like, I have no one else.
Mhm.
But the only person probably that understood where I was going is gone.
Mhm.
And I think the Order is just going down the wrong path, and I have nowhere to kind of now channel this. So I think that was the last push from these past 20 years, because I think that conflict in Aram was like 20 years before in Into the Dark.
Mhm.
So it's not a one little step that did this for him. It's been years in the decades in the making. So I hate to see him go,
Oh yeah.
but I love to start seeing this fallen Jedi and start acting on this. Yeah, there's something wrong with the Jedi Order. I guess I can't fix it from inside.
Mhm.
I can't be part of this anymore because the way they're doing things doesn't vibe with me. So I love seeing that,
Oh yeah.
but I hate
But
that I
you hate
lost my
it.
man. Yeah, but it
Yeah.
was great because Danielle did a great job with characters that he didn't introduce. He had to kind of push along.
Mhm.
So I love what he did with it.
Mhm.
So yeah, again, go pick up this book. It's a great Star Wars book in general, great High Republic book, and a great closer to Phase 1 of the High Republic. Phase 2, Quest of the Jedi, starts in October.
It's coming.
It's coming, it's far off, but we need a little break. There's a lot of more Star Wars books coming. We talked about Padawan last week. It's gonna be Anakin and no Padawan. It's Padawan. I think it's just Kenobi and
Mhm.
Qui Gon.
Mhm.
Kenobi
And
goes
then
on an
Brotherhood
adventure.
is.
Brotherhood is Kenobi and Anakin.
Mhm.
Kenobi's everywhere, and then we have Secrets of the Sith or Shadows of the Sith. I always get it mixed up. Luke, Ochi, and Lando are gonna be there, and Asash Ventress is gonna be in Brotherhood. Gotta get that Asash and Kenobi sass. And I gotta
Heck.
say real quick, because Buck said Trail of Shadows is a comic from
Yes.
Daniel Holder that touches on another great mystery noir
Mhm.
thriller out there. So yeah, it feels far away. October feels far away. This time and day and age, we don't know. Time is irrelevant.
It really is.
All right, so Hannah, lovely to have you here again, finally for a full show. We'll do it again soon. Where can people find you? Anything you're working on at the moment?
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me on. I had such a great time. I'm so glad we got to do this.
Mhm.
So thank you so much for having me back on.
You're welcome.
And if anybody has any thoughts that they would like to share with me, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Beskar_Kyber15. It should be right down here in this little handle thingy. And I am also part of Followers of the Force, a Star Wars podcast. I unfortunately have not been able to be on as often as I'd like recently, just due to life and conflicts, but I'm trying to get back in the swing of things. But I'm always down for a good conversation about books, Star Wars, and just any other general geekiness you want to throw my way. So
Yeah. So make sure you're following Hannah over there. A great follow on Twitter and Instagram and on her podcast. So thank you, Hannah, again for being here. Thanks to all our friends in the chat, Buck, Roberto, Lauren, Norhal, Dale, everyone else. If I missed someone, sorry, but thank you everyone in the chat. And for myself, you guys know, at Radio Rebel Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find my website. Just write Radio Rebellion Podcast. You'll find all my reviews there, podcast episodes, and everything. We're taking a short break next week. It's my wedding anniversary that weekend, so I'm gonna be off. We'll be back the week after with our friend Connor from the Nerd Academy. We're gonna be talking about our favorite Jedi. That's gonna be fun. I still don't know who my favorite Jedi is, so I got a few weeks to figure that out.
some time to think about this.
Yeah, I know. Then probably gonna be off for 2 weeks, my wife's birthday, and then take a week off. And then we're coming with our 99th episode, which I don't know what we're gonna talk about, and then our 100th episode, which is gonna be the end of season 4 of Radio Rebellion. Probably a whole panel talking about Phase 1 of the High Republic. We'll see how that goes. So for Hannah, for everyone in the chat, as always, stay safe, be safe, and may the Force be with you. Can find my exit. Here we go. See you later.